Welcome on to this video. Today we're talking about track sessions as a runner. Do you need to be hitting the track if you want to run faster? It's an interesting question. We're going to be discussing that at length with our head coach, Coach Parry, today. My name is Brad. I'm from CoachParry.com, where we help you become fitter, faster and stronger. And I'd love to know your opinion. Do you do track sessions as part of your training regime or do you not? Let us know in the comments below. What is your favorite? And when I say favorite, which is the one you hate the most? Pop them in the comments below. Also, while you're at it, make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our videos. On today's video, we're talking about track sessions. Lindsay, great to catch up with you once again. A lot of people that we deal with want to get faster, and we hear a lot of people saying, oh, I have to get to a track. And I wanted to ask you, I know you've got experience with dealing with athletes who run fast, and particularly on the track. You, the coach of the current 10,000 meter champion in South Africa on the track, Philani Buthelezi. How important is it for athletes across the board to do track work? Is it necessary? Is it not?
Look, it is necessary in the final phases of the preparation, but it's not really the thing that makes you faster. So pretty much even an 800, but there is some debate around how much aerobic versus anaerobic is contributed by 800, but certainly from 1500 meters, without question, 1500 meters and up, it's a very aerobic dominated sport, and in the market that we deal in, which is pretty much 5Ks all the way to 100 milers, then of course the aerobic component is the most important, and you will only improve using speed work if you sort out that aerobic component first. And that's why at Coach Parry we are always so hardcore about run easy, run easy, run easy. And it's the easy runs that we're talking about, running easy. And there are lots of programs on our website that don't have any high intensity. And it's really because the mistake most people have been making for years by the time we start working with them is that they've run their easy stuff too hard, and it hasn't allowed them to really get the development that they should be getting from their fast running. So for the bulk of the training programs on there, we try to take people through at least one 12-week, preferably two 12-week phases, where we just make sure that we optimize that aerobic development before we then start bringing it in. And then there's lots of good things about doing track work. Some of them are physiological, some of them are around coordination, some of them are around range of motion, and some of them are about strengthening the musculoskeletal system, but all of them come together, the easy work and the speed work, and in particular the ratio between those two. So if you're sub-elite or elite level, you're probably looking at doing about 80% of your work very, very easy, and then just over 20% of that will be varying intensities, but incorporating some track work, incorporating intervals, fartlek, hills, those type of things. And then for your even your serious amateur runner, full-time working, got a family, all the rest of it, I actually cut that back to 10 to maximum 15% of your weekly volume should be done at as intervals or a time trial, or but literally one session a week where you are going to work really hard. But before we get there, you've got to lay the foundation, and you've got to make sure that you optimize that aerobic development.
Lindsay, are there any cases where someone shouldn't be doing speed work on a track, or are there any dangers to doing speed work on a track?
Look, there's the obvious danger to speed work on a track is the increased risk of injury. And that is largely down to the fact that most people also, when they do get down to the track, just don't do it properly. You know, anyone can go down and run 400s as fast as they possibly can. But that's just going to leave you sore, possibly injured, and that's going to compromise your training going forward. So, you know, if you are going to head down to the track, you need to make sure that you're doing the appropriate type of session at the appropriate intensity and the appropriate volume. And all three of those things are really, really important to get the most out of a track session. And then, sure, I mean, there's plenty of people who shouldn't be on a track. If you're just returning from an injury, if you've never run before and you're just starting out, if you are somebody who hasn't developed your aerobic capacity properly, if you've always run too hard, then doing track work is going to feed into that. And if you want to run fast for a long time, you have to have a highly developed aerobic system. And if you develop that aerobic system, what happens essentially is you can run faster and faster and faster at or just below threshold. If you overdevelop the anaerobic system by doing too much speed work, by running your easy runs too hard, you push that ceiling down. And everyone has experienced this. When you hit a wall in a race, doesn't matter what distance it is, it can be 5Ks, 10Ks, 20Ks, or 42. When you hit a wall while you're doing aerobic exercise, you are forced to compete at what I refer to as your lowest common denominator. Your lowest common denominator is the maximum speed at which you are fully anaerobic. So as we get closer and closer to that anaerobic threshold, there is an increasing amount of anaerobic metabolism. But there's a point at which almost all energy is supplied by oxygen pathways. And if you hit the wall, that is the level that you sink to. And that is what we are trying to lift by developing your aerobic system. So that when you are competing in races that last for longer than 2 minutes, you can access that system well.
There are lots of athletes who swear by doing track work. I'm going to ask you this question. It's probably a tough one to answer, but can you run fast without doing track work?
You can, and look, we've answered a question in the last couple of weeks about the MAF method, and I mentioned a triathlete in that video by the name of Mark Allen. Mark Allen ran almost exclusively at MAF. He would do 3 weeks of sharpening up as he got into his big races. Other than that, he ran, cycled, and swam almost exclusively on MAF. And he could run 31 minutes for 10Ks off a bike. So, I mean, I don't know what he could run. And he could run under 250 for a marathon off a bike in Kona. 70% humidity and 32 degrees Celsius. So you absolutely can run fast without speed work. However, and there is an asterisk to this, is that we don't all respond equally. And so for you to get really fast only training aerobically, you need to be a fairly high responder to aerobic training. And the slower you are, the more likely that is the case. So if we use the marathon as an example, if you're slower than a 3.5 hour marathon, it's not for sure, but there's a higher probability that that is the type of workout that you will respond better to than doing very short, sharp type of exercises. And there are people that do respond well to some speed work. And again, that doesn't mean they get to ignore the aerobic component, but it means that they absolutely need the faster running in their program. And again, it becomes more mixed rather than me saying if you're a sub 230 marathoner, you almost certainly, that's not necessarily true, as I've just pointed out with Mark Allen. So there's a greater mix when we move into the very fast runners. So once you get to sort of 3 hour and down, then it starts to become much more you have to learn about the individual and what they respond to and set those programs up accordingly.
Awesome stuff. As always, Coach, thank you so much for your time. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you do track work? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit like as well if you've enjoyed this video. Lindsay, as always, thanks for your time. We'll catch up next time.
Cool. Cheers, Brad.
Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget, if you don't want to miss any of our upcoming videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button over here. You can also download a free strength training plan that'll help you improve your running. You can pick that up right over here. Be sure to watch our most popular video over here, and while you're at it, check out our latest video over here.